You, s- you see that? See my recordings last week and how mine was all choppy. Wasn't that nice?
I don't really like. I guess, but so used to choppy shit that I'm. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
I find I watch it a lot on my phone too, right? Like I'll lay down, watch it with my wireless earbuds, and when it's that small, a lot of times you don't notice.
Yeah. Kat was she rendered few of her videos in like 480p without recognizing it. She's like, "Yeah, it was just so much faster to render, so I just kept doing it." And I was like, "Oh my God." She's like, "I didn't notice because it was on my phone." And of
Yep.
course you don't. And then I'm watching it on the TV and I'm picky as hell and I'm like, "Why is this 480p?"
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Everything looks good on a phone for the most part. Like
Yeah.
if I'm watching a streamer, usually someone on Twitch on mobile, sometimes like in the Wi-Fi is bad wherever I am or something like that. Sometimes I'll drop it down to like whatever it is it 360 or
Yeah, 360p.
160, like, and then I'll forget. I'll get
Yeah.
home and I'm looking. I'm like, why does this person look like shit? I'm like, oh right, because it's down like 5 settings below where it's supposed to be.
Yeah. I remember like back early YouTube, like 360p was the standard. That was that
Wasn't
was the gold.
480 high def when we were in high school? Like
Yeah.
towards the end, I think 1080 or 720 might have been like coming out, but 480 was like the standard.
Yeah. 480, I think the original Xbox was doing 480.
And that was
I think.
that's
Yeah.
old now.
Oh well, fuck that.
It's the
Oh
first time
man.
I'm like, who typed in the chat? But it's just Riverside
Yeah, I know. I
saying
closed
hello.
that. I'm like, shut up. It was like, you can add media. I'm like,
Get out
no.
of my face
Leave me
there.
alone. I say I'm doing something here as well.
Oh, he's got
Yeah.
one.
I have to drink from the mug today. Oh, listen to that audio. Sheesh. Anyway,
That was good.
that's thought I'd save that mainly because I didn't have enough time to do it.
Buy a mug.
Hmm.
I still haven't bought a mug. The
Mr.
worst.
Flotsam bought a mug.
Yeah, that was
I wanted to
awesome.
talk about that. He got to see a Thief's partner too.
I know. I kind of figured, like, when he posted the announcement, like, I know he was going for the suspense with it, but I think everybody was like, oh,
Yeah.
it was only a matter of time.
Pretty crazy though.
It is. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But, I think that's kind of the path. Twitch partner, and then Rare seemed to be big, especially with that game on keeping people involved with it. They actually
Yeah.
do things for their community, like a
Yeah.
lot of games don't do. So,
Yeah.
I was pretty happy to see that.
It was something I didn't really even know about until I started streaming with you. It was like, oh yeah, there's like you can get partnerships with the actual games you play. How strange.
Yeah,
Like-
and like some you can, some you can't. And the ones that do it, it's pretty neat. Like there's a lot of Sea of Thieves partners, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people actively playing Sea of Thieves that are pushing their game as well.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty cool.
And are there partners with like 76 with Fallout?
No,
Like
not
real?
not directly. I don't even think there's really Bethesda partners per se.
Oh,
Like they
yeah.
have a lot of, they do like showcases and that sort of thing, and like you'll see some of the people get to play on like the main stage on Twitch and stuff, but I don't know how the actual, maybe there is some behind the scenes some stuff, or maybe I'm not watching the right people. But I think one of the things with 76 is a lot of the streamers that have been doing it for a while and pushing it and basically keeping that game out of the grave is like, there should be some sort of program for these people that brought your game back from the ashes, right? Because a lot of them
Yeah.
did, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game got wrote off as fast as Anthem did, right? And then it was through people asking questions like, should I try this again? If you don't have people pushing your content, like if there weren't not like, not that I'm talking about it, but some of the bigger players in Fallout, for example, if they're not saying like, yeah, this has changed and that's changed, you should come back and try it. To me, that
Yeah.
game just dies off, fizzles out.
Yeah, because you don't get that immediate response on like a YouTube video.
No,
So-
a lot of times you don't even, we've talked about it before, like the attention span with this world, you don't even, if within like 15 seconds it's not talking about what I want, I'm like, next. Someone's going to
Yeah.
start this video with what I want, and then I'll listen to it.
Yeah, that's why I like. There's a guy. I'll find the link. I think he does. It's like 1 minute shorts or something, and it's for the stupid software that I use. Anyway, the recording software that I use. I can't think of the name right now, but anyway,
What,
you look up.
Resolve?
Yeah, Resolve.
Yeah.
he does 1 minute shorts where it's like, oh, like how do you, overlay an image onto Resolve?
Oh,
And
I know
then,
who you're talking about.
and then he just in 1 minute flat, he tells you exactly how to do it, and then that's it. And all the comments are just like, "This is amazing. Thank you for just keeping it to the point." Because
Yeah, I know who you're talking
attention
about. Like
spans.
I've only edited a couple videos on it, but I was like, how the hell do you fade music out? And that's like, it's driving me nuts. And I went on there and he's like, okay, this is what you do. Click here, drag here, do this, pull it down, you're done. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. I looked for like an hour on my own.
Yeah, I like fade out. Like I guess I fade out and in on the podcast. Obviously only once, like
Yeah.
at the start and the end. But yeah, it's like I try to. I found out the other day when I was looking at our audio tracks and I was putting in the images, like where our words begin, you can like line it up. So then if you have your little tick there, you can, if you slap an image in, it comes right in on that tick. So the people who are really good at kind of stepping, I guess we'll call it, like to those points where they want to put images in, they can slap them in so that if I say something, it comes out immediately after. Like in the last one when you're like, damn good. It's like as soon as you said like as soon as the damn started coming out, it was like right on there. So I don't know,
funny.
little things are fun like that.
Oh,
That was a
man,
lot
I
of work
gotta-
though, man. Jesus Christ.
I know we said it about 40 times there real quick. That's why even like just like 30 seconds ago, not that I'm not trying to shout people out, but I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not gonna, it's like I almost name dropped like 20 people. Like, don't do it. Not right now.
I had the that stupid Saskatoon berry can. I found like a high res image of it,
Yeah.
but it was like a CGI one, which is good because it's flat. So all the pictures are rounded, so you can't actually get a good picture of a can, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
fucking cylinder. So this one was flat, and then I like cropped out the little edges because it was a rectangle, and I was like, no, I want this to be a can, and then I cut it, and I was like, I'm taking a lot of time for this meme, so better pay out. But anyway, it was funny. People
Yeah,
were
we still
laughing.
gotta clip it. I'd like to clip it. And
I
just
actually
add-
laughed. I laughed pretty hard myself. Just
Oh, I laughed way
doing
harder
it.
the second time when we actually watched it too. When I watched it, I was like, I don't even remember half of this because I feel like once we'll try to pick a topic and like stick to it, but then once the riff starts and it goes off on a tangent, I'm like, I don't even remember what we talked about.
Yeah.
Usually turns out better though.
Yeah, my buddy who I can actually shout out because he has a Twitch now. We'll call him Hacksaurus, or his real name's Dino. Buddy Dino, I told you last time, he's been like watching our podcasts, and it's funny because he stumbled upon them last Thursday, which is the day we record, and now he's been watching them, and he messaged me today, Thursday, and he's like, yeah, this is really good, like you need to continue, keep it up, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's so funny that he messages, like he doesn't know what day we record it, but he messages me on Thursdays about it. So I'm like, it's a good little boost to be like, okay, well, someone's listening, and
Yeah.
people are. Not saying that people aren't, but
I don't know. More people do than we think. That's what I think. We did the little call out at the end of that last video, and like 5 people caught it.
Yeah.
You get caught up in this whole thing is you get caught up in like the overall number. Like, oh no, I only had 50. But you know
Yeah.
what? That's 50 people that actually took the time to at least listen to a big enough chunk of it that it registered as a view. Because
Yeah,
you can't
yeah.
just click on and click off, right? So
True. Yeah.
I don't know. I've been trying the past couple of weeks to take things a little bit easier in my own brain.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
'cause
Kind of.
I'm like, why are we 3 views less than last week? Like, it's just, come on.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the product's still good and you feel good about what you're doing,
Yeah.
the rest will come along with it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's kind of this thing where it's like, it's ever improving, and I heard something really good today in terms of like, I want to bring this guy up. I want to show him to you, actually. I'm also going to war with one fucking fruit fly in this place. I left one banana peel out this morning, and now there's one fruit fly that came out of nowhere, and he wants me dead. He wants to ruin this whole podcast.
He's going to call his friends, too. The June bugs here. Like, you can't even walk upstairs. My house sounds like it's vibrating. It's so
Ugh.
bad. Like, the cat, too, is like climbing up everything. And one got in the house on my head the other day. Sarah locked herself in the bathroom. It was just a shit show. Is that their actual
hate
name?
them.
I don't know. We call them June bugs. Big ass sticky bastards.
Yeah, unfortunately,
They're
I'll
like
have to
that
put a
big.
picture up.
Yeah.
They're like,
Get
yeah.
a good June bug pic.
I hate June bugs so much. That's where my hate for beetles comes from. Like any hard-shelled insect, I despise. I guess that's every insect except for caterpillars
Yeah, they
and
like
worms.
caterpillars. They're safe, are they?
Caterpillars and worms and slugs.
Nothing like a good
Okay,
slug.
what I wanted to say before I forgot was there's this dude called Hindsight, which I want to show you. He's like a super chill vibe, like just a real like headspace guy, right? And he's
Yeah.
just very like, he pulls affirmation cards, like he's full on, right? And he does yoga, but he's a full-time content creator now. And one of the things he said when it comes to like ideas and say you want to implement something, you want to start on YouTube and you want to just help people out, let's say. And he said like an object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? So but he also said it's more difficult to actually start that motion, right? So it's more difficult to begin the motion than it is to continue it, right? So when you think about that with thought, like if you think about it with like positive thought, I was like, holy shit. Today I was kind of like, obviously Thursdays are the worst days of both of our weeks, like every week.
Seems to be, yeah.
Like it's painful. And I was just thinking like, man, like imagine if you could take a positive thought and like a positive idea and then you continue it and like you keep pressing at it at whatever speed you want. Like if you want to slow down, like we both have, agreeably, like we both slowed down on this huge grind to be content creators or whatever you want to call it, but the object is still in motion, right? And I think that's key. And
Yeah,
I think
like it goes
yeah.
with, sorry to interrupt, I just kind of thought
okay.
like for some reason the cartoon vision in my head is like, like Wile E. Coyote when the boulder's at the top of the hill and like he's got his back braced against it at the start, pushing for all he's worth, like his feet are spinning. But once the boulder gets going, it gets going too fast, So that is, like you said, once it's in motion, it stays in motion. But yeah, we've definitely slowed down, but we're still kind of kicking that rock, so it's still rolling a little bit at least.
Yeah, it's a tough thing, and obviously you can apply that in so many different ways. I don't really know where I want to apply that next. I know like today, I was thinking about this today because I told you like I had that job interview, everything went well, like cross my T's, dot my I's kind of thing. Everything's good. And then they're like, yeah, we went with another candidate. Which is a story I've heard like 5 times now. Like I've had really good interviews go through all the way to the end. I meet the senior people on whatever the hell, Skype or Teams or whatever. And I talk to them. They're like, yeah, you're really good in the interview. And then I just get deleted at the end. Like I'm just like, yeah, we had another candidate. We had an internal candidate. We had someone with more experience. And I'm today I really was for me, honestly, was like the beginning of a turning point where I was starting to think, you know what, like how many fucking times before I get the message here, like, you got all the skills, we got everything you need, but you just don't get the job. And it's like, man, like, is this the point where I'm going to have to literally like cut the rope off the boat and like go and do this myself? Like, you know what I mean? Like I think about the time and effort that you put into interviews and applications and like all that kind of stuff, or even your job, and then you think, man, if I could find a way to apply even 20%, 10% of this to my own venture, like what would it look like? So that's something that's I don't really have it formulated yet, but it's something that's kicked my ass today. And I'm like, this might be like I might have to call it here and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to do this myself. So
yeah, but it's good. You're gathering thoughts and you're putting them together and putting them out in a good space to actually think about it instead of just being pissed off and being like, I didn't get it. Screw this, go back into my menial little bubble of being grumpy for 2 months before I try to do anything. Like you said, keep the thoughts in motion, keep them going, because I said this to you when we were talking about this. And I thought it was a pretty good little tidbit for myself and how I think about life. If you had the opportunity to work when you want, doing what you want, that is, to me, like that's the ticket right there, when you want and what you want. Because I heard someone was talking to me about the younger generation, not just millennials, but like, the older millennials and kind of the younger into the Zoomy boys and all that. Like they're like, they want the world to, everybody wants their job to form around them. Like they don't want to just conform and just do what they're told. Like that old mentality of just doing what you're told is gone. I'm like, is that so bad? I understand in a corporate setting, sure, there's a lot of, in like, you know, in production and that sort of thing, like you got to get it, you got to get it, you got to get it. But is there wrong with people starting to think like, maybe I want to do something I enjoy? Maybe there's a better way for this system to work where stuff still gets done and we don't do it the old way just because. And that's why I know when I hear about you saying like taking actions in your own hand and like maybe doing something yourself, like a lot of people are like, no, 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 you can't do that. You have to
Yeah.
do something for 40 hours a week because that's what your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents did. You just have to do that because that's what they said. Like, well,
Yeah.
why can't I take a shot?
Yeah.
Because we don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, I don't know, that's just counterproductive to me.
It's a pretty harsh criticism too, but I heard it said, you know, like all these people that are like, don't take risks, go from job to job, you know, never go without a job. Starting your business is difficult. Work for a company, et cetera, right? It's super harsh to say this, but sometimes you have to look at where it's gotten them, right? Like where has that mindset gotten that person, right? And sometimes it hasn't really gotten them that far. Like that fear, it's so hard because especially with us and, you know, with anybody, they've got parents, and those parents have ingrained a lot of that thought process into their existence, and then that's how you think of things. So it's definitely something tough to strip, and maybe you never get rid of it entirely, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just like you really got to ask yourself, like I know with my dad, I'm like how fucking happy is he? You know what I mean? Like he's doing okay, but I mean
Yeah.
he's not blowing my socks off with you know, you know?
That's the same with dad. Dad's like, I liked what I did, but you know, I did what I did for the pension and the time off I had with you. And I'm like, those are admirable reasons. And in his situation, sure. And I'm like, what do? I'm like, I just plod along to make a wage to support my family. I'm like, is that something like, oh, can't wait for like my boys to be like, oh, take your parent to work day, career day. Like, what do you do? And I'm like, hello. Like, I crunch numbers for the government. Like, come on, kiddos, like enlist. Let's do it. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I think that, I think the world's changing, and I think a lot of the older generation don't like it. But I think a lot of it's fear of the unknown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's when you're standing on the edge of that cliff and you've got a parachute on, but nobody knows if the parachute's going to work, right? Well, some dummy's got to be the one to jump off the cliff and pull the chute to see if it comes out, right? So I feel like our generation is kind of the ones that have the ability to start to do that.
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't know. It's a tough one that I'm still not like fully understanding of, I guess we'll say, with like, you know, what it looks like. And I know I've been looking at a lot of like really good YouTube, like a lot of guys who have done it, and obviously it's like, yeah, you need to have multiple sources of income and stuff like that, and yeah, but I don't want it to be forced. Like I figure by August I'll have enough money to cruise for quite a while. Like I can stream as much as I want and no one's gonna call me on the phone or anything. Like, you know what I mean? I can stream 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like, yeah, it's gonna be strange, but I think that one thing I'm finding this week is just like like your mindset and your that mental directive has to be positive and has to have a vision and has to understand what you'd like it to. It doesn't matter if you don't know, like you and we're like, we don't know how to get there. We don't know how to be super popular YouTube guys, but we know that it wouldn't be bad if we were, and I think it'd be pretty cool if we could influence. Like for me, when I was like 14 to 18, I basically had just my mom. My dad was trying to give me and instill upon me kind of, you know, the fatherhood impression, but I didn't really get it, you know? And
Yeah.
a lot of shit I had to kind of just make up myself, I find. And a lot of my, you know, that, I guess that late youth, they're so impressionable. And I think I just got the impression the wrong way because I had no direction, and I kind of just made it up. And I figured like, man, like even on our streams, like people come in and like, I've literally helped people. There's a guy who's like, oh, I want to be in the Air Force. There's a hair on my microphone. God damn it. Mustache.
Oh no, now there's one on mine.
Fucking gross. This guy's like, I want to be in the Air Force, but my parents, they want me to go to university. I'm like, dude, university was one of the worst fucking decisions I ever made. And I did it for 6 fucking years. And I told him, I'm like, what do you like? He's like, well, all of my families went, so they're gonna expect me to go. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you want to go in the Air Force? Why don't? I'm like, there's programs in the Air Force that can put you through university. Like they'll pay for you to go. And he was like, what? That exists? I'm like, yes, look it up right now. And he is in the UK, and I'm pretty sure the program exists. And it's like, man, you like literally, you just had kind of like a father-son talk with somebody, like it or not, and you were able to like slap something in their face and be like, there's another way to do this. And like, yeah, I think that this could, if this scales out, I think that could be what it is. And I think that I have enough confidence in that vision that it might actually fucking get there. And that's the gigantic point I was trying to get at after like 20 minutes of talking. I'm sorry.
No,
But
that's
I'm going to shut up.
that's kind of the same because of me. Like I'm hearing you say all this, and I'm like, yes, and I'm like, what do I want to do? Like I'm really good at seeing situations from the outside, right? And that's, streaming is a good opportunity for knowledge sharing, and same thing, life experience. You take something from this, you take some, you get some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for me, like, I have the hardest part dealing with my own stuff, like what's in here, staying between my lines and doing my thing. I can listen to what you're doing and be like, yeah, I've got some great advice for you, and I think you should do this, and you should jump. Someone's going to be the first one to jump off the cliff and pull the chute, right? And it's like, okay,
Right.
Nick, pull the chute. And I'm like, no, you know what I mean? And that's so, like, for me, and some people just need this kind of push. So if I can sit here and spread a little positivity to someone, or give them a little bit of confidence or something like that, that's what I enjoy the most. And that's not even just, that's in my job. I'm in a job now, like a middle management position in between 2 difficult groups of people who all wanted me to get this job. I said this in a meeting today. I said, all my peers wanted me to get this. All my managers wanted me to get this. So what is it about me that has put me in this space that all these people want me to be here? And that's why I'm like, I think managing situations is kind of one of my things. And I think, enough people are having me see that. So that's kind of how I see streaming too. I'm like, you never turn anyone away who has a question. Like you said, like you could look, I want to go in the Air Force. You can be like, oh, sick, Air Force. And then just kept playing your game, you know what I mean? Or I want to go to university, be like, fucking party, man. You know what I mean? Or you could take the extra 2 minutes and use the experience and the knowledge that you have to help someone with their decisions. You're not pushing them either way. You're being that encyclopedia. You're being that Wikipedia in their head, right? And I think there's a lot of power and a lot of, there's a lot of positivity in that too, because sometimes you and I have a little bit of an issue being positive. We just always have in our lives, it's easy to feed off the negative stuff. It's a lot easier. It's a hell of a lot easier. So like you said, I think if you circle way back to what you're saying in the beginning, like if you can get yourself in that momentum, get in that headspace that not everything is bad, and I can do some good, and I can get good thoughts in my head, and we can move forward with this, then, as you pick up speed on those thoughts, then, stuff, bring this in, bring that in, bring that in, bring that in. It's like the snowball getting bigger, right? So I think starting's the hardest part. Yeah.
I saw like another one of these videos from Hindsight. He was saying negative thoughts are effectively based on love, which means that if you have a negative thought, there's probably an equal and opposite thought to be had, or probably stemmed from a place of love, where you're able to, you're basically able to flip it and say, okay, well, if I'm having a negative thought or whatever, then there's probably some good to be found from it, because we're not meant to be plundering around this earth, dragging our knuckles, being negative. Like, we're supposed to be optimistic. And if we're negative and pessimistic, then it must mean that we're trying to tell ourselves something, right? And that's something that I've been battling with the last 2 days. I was like, man, this guy's been dropping anvils on my head, to be honest, which is why I want to put him on blast here, in a positive way. But it's so fucking, I know I'm swearing, but it's so difficult to strip that doubter's mentality of what would happen if I quit my job? I'd lose everything. And it's like, you barely have anything. You have your mountain bike and this streamer setup, right? And the bank won't come for that anyway, so I'll still have it. But it's so difficult, and there are people that have emerged out, like Jim Carrey out of the Rhino. You know what I mean? They've just been rebirthed, and they're able to actually. They actually know that, you know what, if you put a positive mind to this and you have a vision. Even this Bob Proctor guy, which I can link as well, he's an old dude, and he's got a card in his pocket, and he has it like it's like a little business card, and he has his goals. He's like, I want to have a business that's in every country in the world, and I want to have whatever. And it's written down, and he has it written down. And the reason he has it written down is because I need to remind myself. He said, every time I put my hands in my pockets, I need to remind myself that this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing, right? It's a constant adjustment and realignment, because your hands go in your pockets, you touch the card, and you're like, yeah, true. Like, what, on task. I got to be on task. You know what I mean? So it's a life journey, man. That is no joke. That those people that have seen success with that stuff, it blows me away, because it is an entire undoing and unweaving of every single thing you've learned. It's like,
yeah, it is. Damn.
I'm ranting, dude, but I'm telling you, I'm fucking lit up this week. I'm like,
that's good. Go back to like episode, whatever it was, episode 3, like the Depresso episode, and then think like if we'd be talking about this stuff. But here we are. I'm dust wiping off camera too.
Yeah. I was thinking too about like just the kind of the chaos and how this year has kind of like stress tested our lives. You know what I mean? Like, COVID is a good stress test. It's like, okay, well, you thought you had it bad when you could travel and do everything you like. How about now when it's kind of shit? What happens now, right? It's a stress test.
Oh, for sure. I said, regardless of what you think of any side of it, it puts you in a box, and it says, you know, here you go. Oh, you think you would have been a good contestant on Big Brother? Like, here you go. Oh, I could have won $500,000. No, you can't even survive in your own province with still all that area to go, right? Yeah, have a little bit of a mental breakdown thrown in here. How's that? Oh, you like to do things? Not anymore. Yeah. It also gives you a good time to reflect and think too. I just started this book. A lot of people have already read it. It's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So I'm really excited to read it, because it's kind of it's like a brain freeing. It's really recommended by like Men's Health and stuff like that for the male brain and how it works, you know. And it's not saying like don't give a fuck about anything, but it's how to shed that dead weight, the stuff that doesn't matter, those negative thoughts. Exactly. Like, so I just started. I don't have a review yet. We'll just call it here. We'll see in a couple of weeks after I've got it done what comes from it, but I'm excited.
Yeah. Oh God, I'm trying to think right now, because I don't know what episode it is. I always do this.
Oh fuck. 14? Is it 14?
I think it's 14.
Okay, good. That's what we're going with.
14? 14, bud. Yeah, I was gonna say, just to close that thought, I was thinking like, if I was to describe what kind of control I have on my life right now, with how much turmoil my job and everything that I want to do and streaming and stuff like that, mostly my job and just how COVID has squished me. It's kind of like I'm in like a tornado, and like most of the time I'm floating in it, and I have no idea what's going on, but I have little moments where I come out to the edge and I can like grab something. Like yesterday, so I found my coffee. I lost my coffee mug, then I found it. Then I washed it yesterday, and then I grabbed, so this is what I actually did. I grabbed it, I went into the washroom, hair check, right? Put it down, walk out of the washroom, go to get my keys. Where did I put my coffee mug? I'm running around my house, ruins my whole day because I can't find the thing. Anyway, then I came back and it was just there. And it's like, there's so many moments where you're just like, for me, I'll speak just for myself, where it's like I'm in this tornado and sometimes I'm just in the wind and I have no idea what's going on. And then I'd come out in these moments and I'm like, that's a huge red flag for me. And it's been a red flag for the entire Between the Lives podcast thing, and something that I talk to you about a lot. But it's like, I think enough is enough, man. I got denied on this job and I'm not happy where I am. And I think I'm just going to pivot out either way. I think like, it's like my life is not at risk, but in a way it's like mentally at risk. Like, so, you know,
yeah, that's, you know, you get to a point and then you decide, what are you going to do? Spiral down or try to move forward?
Have enough, have enough have enough of an inward look to actually know that you're in a bad spot.
Yeah. And acknowledge you want to do something about it.
Yeah. like we said, like with streaming, it's like be bold or be stupid enough to continue. You know what I mean? And
That's right.
like right now for me, I think it's like I have to be bold. So
I'll be stupid enough to continue then. How about that?
okay, good.
I'll fill that role for right now.
The yin and the yang, baby.
That's right.
See, I've already forgotten what episode it is. 14?
14. So
Okay,
we're
episode
going with
14, guys. This is Between the Lives, episode 14. We're going with it. It's probably 13, but I don't know. Who knows? My name's Julian, also known as Mr. Elliott. Over here, we've got Mr. Nicholas, also known as Father Millennial, and we'll both be going live shortly. So much love, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.